A teenage girl walked into the roughest biker bar in the county, and within seconds, every man inside burst into laughter. They thought she was lost. They thought she didn't belong. But when they noticed the old patch stitched onto the back of her oversized leather jacket, the laughter vanished. The toughest bikers in the room stood frozen, some unable to speak. By the end of that night, the entire town would witness an act of loyalty no one ever expected. The rusty door of the roadside biker clubhouse creaked open, letting in the orange glow of the setting sun. The room smelled of gasoline, leather, and old wood. Heavy boots rested on tables. Motorcycle helmets lined the walls. Loud laughter echoed between the wooden beams as members of the legendary biker club, the Steel Ravens, celebrated another weekend ride. Then everything stopped. Standing in the doorway was a skinny teenage girl. She looked no older than 16. An oversized black leather jacket swallowed her small frame. Mud stained her worn sneakers. Her faded blue jeans were patched at the knees, and her brown hair was tied into a loose ponytail that looked as though she'd been traveling all day. She didn't belong there. Dozens of tattooed bikers stared at her. For a moment, nobody spoke. Then someone laughed. Another joined in. Within seconds, the entire clubhouse echoed with chuckles. One massive biker with a gray beard leaned back in his chair. "Wrong place, kid," he said with a grin. "Looking for a coffee shop?" More laughter followed. Another biker smirked. "You lost." The girl tightened her grip on the front of her jacket, but never stepped back. She waited. Calm, silent, patient. Eventually, the laughter faded, and she slowly turned around. Every smile disappeared. Across the back of her jacket was an old embroidered biker patch. Its edges were faded. Its stitching was worn from decades of use. But one line could still be read perfectly. "Steel Ravens, founding writer." The room fell completely silent. Several men stood up without realizing it. Nobody laughed anymore. That patch wasn't something anyone could buy. Only the first riders of the Steel Ravens had ever worn it. One of the oldest members whispered almost to himself, "It can't be." The girl faced them again. "My name is Ava." Her voice shook slightly. "This jacket belonged to my father." She paused. His name was Jack Carter. The silence became even heavier. Every man in that room knew that name. Jack Carter wasn't just another biker. He had helped build the Steel Ravens from nothing. He was the rider who never left anyone stranded. The man who stopped for strangers. The one who believed strength meant protecting people, not frightening them. Years earlier, Jack had died while pulling a young family out of a truck moments before it exploded on a rain-soaked highway. His funeral had filled the town. His daughter had disappeared from everyone's lives shortly afterward. Until now. Ava looked around the room. "I didn't come here to remind you about him." She swallowed hard. "I came because I don't know what else to do." Her mother's medical treatments had drained every dollar they had. Bills covered the kitchen table. The bank had already sent eviction notices. She had worked after school, skipped meals, and sold nearly everything they owned. Still, it wasn't enough. "My mom always told me." She looked down at the old jacket. "If things ever became impossible, your father's brothers would never let us face it alone." Those words landed harder than any punch. Several bikers lowered their heads. Some couldn't even look at her. Years ago, they had promised Jack they would always watch over his family. Life had distracted them. Businesses, jobs, families, time. And somewhere along the way, they forgot. The club president, a giant man everyone called Bear, slowly removed his leather gloves. His voice cracked. "You should never have needed to come looking for us." He walked toward Ava, then did something nobody expected. He hugged her. The room stayed completely quiet. One by one, every biker stood. No speeches, no arguments, only silent nods. The Brotherhood had made its decision. That very evening, nearly 40 motorcycles rolled out together. The roar of their engines shook the streets as neighbors looked outside in confusion. The convoy didn't head toward the mountains. It stopped outside Ava's small house. The next morning, people woke to an unbelievable sight. Some bikers repaired the leaking roof. Others painted walls. Several rebuilt the broken front porch. Electricians rewired unsafe cables. Mechanics repaired Ava's old pickup truck for free. Another group filled the kitchen with groceries that would last for months. One retired nurse arranged medical appointments for Ava's mother. A local pharmacist donated medicine after hearing Jack's story. The transformation spread through the neighborhood. People who had once feared the steel ravens began bringing food, blankets, furniture, and clothes. One family's struggle became an entire community's mission. For the first time in months, Ava's mother smiled. She quietly wiped away tears as she watched rough bikers planting flowers beneath her bedroom window. But something even bigger had happened. The steel ravens had remembered who they truly were. They hadn't been created to build fear. They had been created to build family. Over the following months, everything changed. The club organized charity motorcycle rides for children's hospitals. They repaired homes damaged by storms, collected school supplies, delivered food to struggling veterans, raised money for families facing medical emergencies. Their leather jackets still carried the same patches. But now, people smiled when they heard the sound of their motorcycles. At every charity ride, one rider always led the group. Ava. The club had restored her father's vintage motorcycle piece by piece. Old mechanics donated weekends. Young members polished every chrome detail until it looked brand new. When Ava rode at the front, many members quietly admitted it felt as though Jack was riding beside them once again. The town soon gave her a nickname, the Young Raven, not because she was fearless, but because she reminded everyone that courage doesn't always arrive with loud words. Sometimes, it walks quietly through a doorway, wearing an old leather jacket. Nearly a year later, during the Steel Ravens anniversary gathering, Bear called Ava to the front. He handed her a small wooden box. Inside rested a brand new custom patch. Unlike the others, it had never existed before. It read, Legacy Guardian, and underneath, Jack Carter's daughter. The entire clubhouse stood. No applause, only respect. Ava carefully stitched the new patch beside her father's original one. She smiled through tears. My dad always told me, a patch doesn't make you family. It reminds you to act like one. Not a single person spoke, because every rider knew she was right. From that day on, whenever the steel ravens rolled through a town, people no longer saw intimidating bikers. They saw volunteers, protectors, neighbors, and leading them was a young woman whose greatest strength wasn't the jacket she wore. It was the kindness she carried. Because real legacies aren't written in leather. They're written in the lives we choose to lift. If this story warmed your heart, welcome to Kindness Warriors. Here, we believe that the strongest people aren't always the loudest. They're the ones who choose compassion when no one is watching. Like, share, and subscribe to Kindness Warriors so together we can spread more stories that restore faith in humanity. And before you go, tell us in the comments, what does true loyalty mean to you?